right, I'm going to send you her number because, hi, it's Racquel. I am so happy that you guys are here with me now. We have an amazing show scheduled. It's a little bit of some tech issues going on here. So if you bear with me tonight, and we can make sure that everybody gets on. I have a great guest coming in. Today we're going to be talking all about getting out of the box. So if you give me 1 second, I just want to make sure that I am sharing everything and that our tech is good to go.
Here we go. All right, I found me. I'm gonna hang up. Racquel.
Awesome. So we are on and ready. That is the beauty of technology. Sometimes it is amazing, and then sometimes it gives you a headache, and that is all good because we learn to roll with the punches, and I think that is just perfect for what we're going to be talking about tonight. So as you know, this show is Living Well with Coach Racquel. I am your host and your guide on this wellness journey. And today we are going to be talking about getting out of the box. And I want to thank the She Is Still Dope Network for hosting this show. Please make sure that you check them out on all social media sites at She Is Still Dope, or She Is Still Dope.tv if you want, for those of you who may not necessarily be on Facebook or some of the social media sites. So definitely check them out because there are other amazing women who are doing some amazing things and you don't want to miss any of it. So today, as I said, we are going to be talking about getting out of the box. And, you know, a few weeks ago, I was over at the zoo with my kids, and I saw something that really, you know, stuck out for me. There was one, it was like a snow leopard or something like that we were looking at the time. And I was just watching it as it was like pacing back and forth. And you could tell that it wanted something, but for whatever reason, that resource just wasn't available to them. And so when we're thinking about wellness, a lot of times that is where our stress sits. A lot of times we're stuck in these boxes where we want to do something or we're needing something and we either don't have the resources or we're afraid or we have these confines around us that either we put ourselves in or sometimes other people put us in. And when we're talking about wellness, wellness is all about freedom and having the freedom to choose and having the freedom to be joyful and happy and to follow our purpose and to step into our truth. And so when we're thinking about these boxes, oftentimes they represent so many things. Sometimes they're financial boxes. Sometimes they're relationship boxes. Sometimes they're fitness boxes or, you know, our body, you know, whether or not we're feeling comfortable in it, wanting to lose weight or wanting to gain weight, you know, sometimes they're mental boxes. So every area of wellness, while it can also be freeing, sometimes it can also be a box when we're putting ourselves in those spaces. And so today and tonight's talk is really just about how do we find our voice? And I have an amazing woman, Helen Higgenbotham. She's an attorney. She does a lot with advocacy, especially as it relates to women and bringing women together, because at the end of the day, we are stronger together. And so Helen is going to be coming on. Hello. Hi, how are you?
Hello. This is the other Helen.
Yeah, we kind of got you put in as Helen. So this is not Helen, but it's another.
There's another Helen.
Woman. Yeah. So listen, tonight we are rolling with those punches and we are just having a good time tonight together and just so grateful for all of the women who are here to support us tonight and just to really thank you. So Helen Higgenbotham is she's just a great woman, someone who's constantly been an inspiration to me for the many years that I've known her. And she's definitely that woman, that advocate who's going to be like, listen, you know, what do we need to do? Let's get it done. And so that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to bring her on here, to make sure that you guys also get to hear that inspiration. And so while we're waiting for Helen, I want to make sure that you guys remember that if you want to watch the show, definitely go to either the Facebook page or to the YouTube channel, She Is Still Dope, or you can go onto sheisstilldope.tv and check us out there. we actually sent some of the link out. Again, one of those tech issues for tonight. So we sent out the link for the guest. And so we have everybody, and I'm loving the support and loving all these people coming in to support us tonight. But please make sure that you go into sheisstilldope.tv rather than the link that was sent out through the email, so that we can get the guests on, so we can get Helen on, and you all can enjoy watching the show tonight. So remember, tonight we're getting out of the box. We're letting go of some of these confines that we sometimes find ourselves in, and really making sure that we first identify what it is that we're wanting, and acknowledging that these boxes exist. Sometimes they're invisible. We have no idea we're in there. But once you start to notice that what you're wanting is not happening, we have to start to identify and acknowledge that this is a box that I don't want to be in, or sometimes I refer to them as cages that we find ourselves in, trying to do what everyone else thinks, right? The voice in everyone else's head that we're trying to live up to. Sometimes it's just things that we think that we should be doing. Sometimes it's cultural. The skin that we live in can sometimes be that box and that confine, especially because of the systems that we're living in and under, and people not acknowledging that we all bring something to the table, and that we all are important, and that none of us is more important than the other. And once we start to notice that, then we can really start to move forward into that freedom and into that space of true wellness. But it takes a village. It takes all of us working together, first on ourselves, and then reaching back and helping other people. And that's what our guest tonight is going to be talking to you about, is really, how do we help? How do we reach back? And she does a really great job of doing that, and making sure that she is reaching out. So I'm going to check in, if you give me 1 second, just to make sure, just from some tech standpoints, I know that we're having a few issues around that. So I just want to make sure. So if you give me a second and bear with me. And while I'm doing this, I want you to really just start thinking about, like, what is your box? What does that box look like for you? And for everyone, it's going to look different. We all have different things that we're dealing with, that we're struggling with. And so, what is it that you are feeling confined in? What is it? What's your source of stressors these days? And 9 times out of 10, when we can figure out what the stressor is, we can definitely figure out what that box is. So that we can start to find a better way for ourselves first, and then for other people. So thank you guys for being so patient and for signing in here. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Coach Racquel. I am a health coach, life coach, yoga coach. And my goal is really to help people to let go of the stress, the anxiety, those negative mindsets that often hold us down, so that we can really live that life that God has called us to live. And it's really just about getting out of the box, and really looking at things differently. And especially when we're dealing with something like this pandemic, something that we don't have control over. It's still important that we are finding our voice and finding our space, and really being able to break outside of the confines of those things that we can't control. And so part of that is starting with, what can you control? What things in your life do you control? What things in your life are not where you want them to be, but you have the resources to either ask somebody about it, or you have the capability of actually doing something for yourself, and really, really using that voice to make sure that we are really living up to our fullest potential. So I'm sorry, I keep looking down here because we're still kind of trying to work some things out in the background. So thank you for bearing with me and for being very, very patient tonight as we work it out. If you give me 1 second. Okay.
Coach Racquel, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
To everyone, I just wanted to get in quickly to say, excuse me, I'm not camera ready, but to everyone that has tuned in using the link that the doctor sent, it is overwhelming our system. That's actually the link for our guests. So if you guys can tune in via She Is Still Dope on Facebook, YouTube, or go to She Is Still Dope TV, that would be great. We can't get her in as a guest because all of her guests are logging into the back end of the system, which is overwhelming the system. But I love to see all of this love, all of this support. Look, her crew is coming through. I've never seen love like this. Like, I need a part of y'all group. I'm coming to join her posse, okay? So I want to thank you guys. Sorry, we got a little flack back here. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. But if you're in the back end and you use that link, please log out and watch us on She Is Still Dope on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, on Periscope, on She Is Still Dope.tv, any of those outlets, but we can't get her in because her crew is in. Look, they came through thick. I was like, all right, then, I'm joining today, okay? Yeah. So if you guys can log out of the back end of the system and come in via Facebook, YouTube, or She Is Still Dope TV, we can actually get her in.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
So for those of you who are using the StreamYard link, so the way that StreamYard works is just the host can be in there, and those, the guests on the actual show. So it's actually created to be more of a platform to be watched on other social media platforms. So that's why if everyone's logging in there, it's hard for us to get her in. So if you log out, and I know many of you may not necessarily be on social media, so definitely go to sheisstilldope.tv, and it's right there on the screen. If you log out and just re-sign in into that site, we can definitely bring her in. But, as C.S. Bailey said, we are loving all of the love. And now you guys can see why I wanted to bring her on so much, because she is loved by many, because she does so much for so many. And I really can't wait to really get her on here and see, and really get her wisdom around using our voices as women. She has an amazing organization called When Black Women Gather, and it is just a constant support. She's constantly motivating, constantly bringing people in to really first educate and then to empower women. And, how amazing is it when we all come together versus us fighting with each other? It was so funny this weekend. I was in a small retreat with a few of my really close friends. And one of the ladies mentioned, she was like, it's so good, to see women together, and not fighting amongst each other, but really just loving on each other. And it's so true, like the power when we all come together and do things. And that's why I like this network, the She Is Still Dope network, because it's a network of women who have come together for a purpose, but to support one another and to really empower other women in whatever it is that you're trying to do. And that is wellness. As I always say, wellness is everything. That is wellness when we come together and we support and we encourage and we show up for each other. So thank you, ladies, all of you who have signed into the StreamYard. Please make sure that you log out of the StreamYard and go into the sheisstilldope.tv. Or you can check us out on Facebook or any of the other social media platforms. It's the same name in all of them. So don't forget the is. So She Is Still Dope .tv if you want to log into it from your web browser. And so as we wait, thank you guys for being on here and hanging out here with me. Again, my name is Racquel. I'm the CEO and founder of Fit to You Wellness, an organization dedicated to helping people reduce stress, anxiety, and really live their best lives, especially employees, people who are working in high burnout career paths. So if you go and visit me on www.fit2wellness.com, definitely go check me out, see what I'm doing. I do coaching sessions for individuals, but I also do a lot of work for companies and organizations who are trying to support the well-being of their staff. So if that's you and you're looking for some well-being, professional development trainings for your team, definitely check me out at Fit to You Wellness, www.fit2wellness.com. So thank you to all of you who are still logging out and trying to figure out where to go. Thank you for being patient with us today. You know, we've been on such a good run. This is a really new show, and we've been on such a good run. I think this might be the first time that we've actually had some really big hiccups. So it was bound to happen, and it's all good because I am looking forward to this woman. And it's always that, when something good is coming, there's always those rams in the bush or something, that kind of happens to deter us. But those of you who are going to stay on, you're in for a really good treat to have Helen in here with me today. So we are still working on getting her in here. She's in the room. And so we are just going to, let me send out just a message really quick. And so again, as we're waiting for everything to go, just remembering, what is your box? Really thinking about that. What is that box? And if you haven't thought about it yet, or if it hasn't come to you, what is the box that you find yourself in that you're wanting to get out of in your life? Because that is the space where our true stressors lie. It's when we feel caught or caged in, just like that, the animal that I was talking to you guys earlier about in the zoo, who was wanting something and not able to get it. And so it was just pacing, and you could just see the anxiety on its face. And it just reminded me so much about us. Okay, so I have to let you guys in. When it comes to multitasking, that is not at all my specialty. So if you see me over here trying to do 2 or 3 things at one time, it's not my specialty. We all have our lanes, and that is not mine. So, so just bear with me tonight as I try to focus on that. But again, when it comes to wellness, it's just being honest with ourselves, just even in this moment, to be able to say to you out loud, listen, that's not my strength. But so many times we try to mask things, or we try to cover it up. And as we do that, we begin putting ourselves in these boxes: the box of shame, the box of guilt, the box of, lowering our voice for someone else, or, dropping who we are so that someone else can be elevated. And, when we're thinking about God and who He called each of us to be, He called each of us to have a light to shine. And so every time we put ourselves into a box, whatever it looks like, we are dimming the light that's on the inside. And so it's really about finding ways to get out of those boxes and to really allow that light to shine, and using our voices and knowing that we matter. And especially now in a time where so much is not within our control, just remembering what are those things that you can hold on to, and what are those things that we're needing to really focus on and acknowledge so that we can move forward. Because even those boxes that we find ourselves in, they're temporary. Unlike that animal, we get to choose, and we have the power to really choose when we're ready to step out of the boxes. I know sometimes they feel like they're, locked and somebody threw away the key. But the real thing is that we have the power to open those boxes at any point. It's just, at what point are you wanting to change or wanting to get out the box more than you're wanting to stay in it? And that's the thing when it comes to wellness, it always comes back to that space. Struggle is losing weight. When your desire to change your eating habits is stronger than your desire to continue to eat those foods, that's when you'll change. And the thing is that there's nothing wrong with it. We guilt ourselves so much because it's like, oh, I should be. But you know what? And I never forget, someone said it to me before, stop shooting over yourself, right? We always have these, I should be, I should be. You are doing exactly what you were destined to do in this moment. And when you get to a point where you are ready to make that decision to want to be different, to want to get out of the box, that is the moment when things will change for you. And until then, you keep trudging on, maybe focus on something else, because all of us are great at something, even if the weight loss might be your struggle, there's something else that you are powerful in. And so instead of focusing in on our weaknesses, it's so important that we focus on the strengths. What things are you doing well? And then find somebody who is doing that thing that you're struggling with and ask for help. Use those resources. And I think I talked about this. I don't know if it was last week. There you go, Helen. How are you?
Oh my God.
Listen, thank you so much for being patient and
I don't know what's happening because now I've got a bunch of stuff on my screen, but
yeah, well, I can see it clearly, which means that everyone else can see you too. So
okay,
it is well.
Hi, everybody. I am so sorry. I sent out the link. I just said send me the link. I guess I should have prefaced.
Yes, and that was my fault too because I didn't make it clear that this is the link just for you. And for the other things.
Somebody said, is this you? Is this for the student? I'm like, I hope so. And, how are you?
I am good, and you are looking beautiful and fabulous, and you have on my favorite color. Just so, we are just going to jump right in. Thank you so much, for trudging and sticking in there. And thank you to your team and to all the amazing women on When Black Women Gather and all those people that you've invited out here. So thank you for being patient. And then when it's done, I will make sure that you get the link for the replay. That way, for those that weren't able to get in or, anything, they'll have that to be able to really see you. Okay. And they're not missing a beat.
All right, let's talk. How are you this evening?
I am good. I'm
trying to turn off this thing because it's beeping like crazy. Okay, I just turned.
Yes. Well, so let's just get right in it. Tell the audience, tell people who don't know you, who you are, what you do. Just share a little bit about yourself with us.
So, in a nutshell, I'm Helen, Miss Higgenbotham. I am an attorney by training. Don't practice a whole lot, but I work in the legal field, but not practicing law. And I teach in the evenings, which I enjoy my students at Rowan University. And what I really, really, really love is When Black Women Gather. And When Black Women Gather is an organization that I started to create a safe place for Black women where we can come together and pass on wisdom and traditions and just have what other people call difficult conversations, but I call necessary conversations. And we just uplift and support one another. It's real positive.
I love it. And that is one of the reasons that I really wanted you to get on here, because when I thought about, getting out of the box, you were one of the first people that I thought about, because I always see you doing that. It doesn't matter what things are looking like. You are going to dance to the beat of your own drum. But not only are you going to do it, you are going to help other people do the same thing. So how did you really get into this work and, really, stepping into that space of getting out of the box?
I mean, I think for me, we let so many things and people define us. And, it's not easy. It comes with age. It comes with wisdom. And it comes with just being sick and tired of being sick and tired. You have to stand up for yourself. And that's what I try to do in my own life. I do things that, maybe other people wouldn't do. I hope to empower people, though, to just understand that you're the captain of your soul, the master of your fate. So make it happen and don't give other people your thunder. And if people are trying to bring you down, then, kick them out of your sandbox. If they're not on your team, they don't belong in your box, period.
Absolutely. I love that. Kick them out of your sandbox.
Out of the sandbox. You cannot stay. You bring me down.
Yeah. So now, is this something that you just grew up, on, or is this something that, was there something that in your life that where you finally were like, this is the moment? Like, was there any defining moment, or This is just.
Yeah, I think ever since I was a kid, so going to law school was like kind of a natural thing to do because I've always been an advocate for people.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in empowering people and just I was never the bully. I don't like bullies. I've just always been that person who stood up for the underdog. I believe in giving voice to people. I think what I do that I take for granted. I think I say things that other people think, but they won't dare say.
Mm-hmm.
And, and some of the stuff I do, people say, oh, that was so courageous. And to me, it was just like, really? Like, it was really just being me.
Yeah.
Being courageous. So, you just got to advocate, and I would say in terms of, people waiting for things to be comfortable. I don't know who told us in life that things were supposed to be comfortable always. That's not reality.
Yeah.
For, Black folks, I'm like, if our ancestors had waited for everything to be comfortable, where would we be? Still in the back of the bus. Mm-hmm. So, I just think that, you gotta make it happen, and it's up to us.
Yeah. So when you think about that box, like what would you define as some of those boxes or those restraints that we find ourselves in, especially as it's relating to women or, just some of what we're going through right now in our country?
In terms of the election, I have to say that, I wanted, like most people, for it to be a landslide, just to be a testament to the kind of country that we really are. And, I wanted to believe that, America is not perfect, but I just wanted to believe that we were more under siege than anything. Mm-hmm. So at first I was disappointed that the election had come out so close. But then I said, no, I'm glad that the election came out close because it forces America to take a look at herself, right? If in fact, we act like we didn't know what was happening in America in terms of race relations until George Floyd died. Like really, it took George Floyd getting murdered on TV for all of us to understand what was really happening for Black people in America. Mm-hmm. And, so that kind of threw America into this reckoning on race. Everybody's trying to figure out what did they do wrong, whatever, let's have these conversations.
Yeah.
And, by it being so close, if it had been a landslide, the conversation would have died. We would have gone right back to where we were, because race is a conflict. I love to host difficult conversations. Mm-hmm. The difficult conversation that nobody wants to have. Mm-hmm. So this being such a close election, America is forced to look at herself internally and say, what happened? Yeah. 70 plus million people voted for Donald Trump. And most of them I'm sure were white folks. So white America, the foot is still on your neck. You are forever determining or talking about pathologies in other communities. Mm-hmm. And this election forces white America to look at the pathologies in her own community and leave the rest of us alone, because especially Black women, because we got this. Twice we have rejected this guy, so yeah. So that's what I wanted to say in terms of the election. And I forgot what your question was.
It was just like, what are some of those restraints, or what are some of those boxes that you think we as women find ourselves in?
I think we look for approval, and I'm talking in general, so not just women. I think. I'm talking about Black folks. I think we look for approval from other people rather than within. Mm-hmm. And maybe as women, women, we're hard on each other. So that's the other reason I bring us together, so that we can have conversations, because I think a lot of women don't have women friends. I probably have too many.
Yeah, we can tell by all of the ones that have come on.
I know. But I think that, we really need to examine our relationships that we have with one another, and start looking for our approval from within our communities. As women, can we start lifting one another up? Mm-hmm. You know, like tonight, me and a friend both have, you know, I had this at 7 o'clock. She had something at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I sent the link out for both of our programs. So those who didn't get on here, they're probably watching Linda. But that's what friends do. You know,
Yeah.
it's about competition. It's like, how do we lift each other up?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's important to me. And I have very little tolerance for people who are stuck on themselves. If we as a community don't start thinking in the collective,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's utopia or, you know, for me, but that's what's it's killing us, that we think of ourselves as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about, you know, holding each other accountable. And, you know, my big thing is, you know, I've had some nice positions in my life and I've walked away from them. Why? Because they want you to compromise who you are. And I will not do that.
Yeah.
Say, if you're sitting at a table, you're the chief diversity officer, you're running the HR department, you are the only partner in the law firm, whatever the case may be. If you are sitting at that table, looking out for yourself only, then I have to ask you to get up from the table because you're doing a disservice to your community. And as a community, we should celebrate, wow, Racquel's the new CEO. Like, we're really proud of Racquel. But we need to be coming back to Racquel and sitting and saying, okay, so what have you done for us lately? Because we supported you. And that's what we need to do in this election, right?
Yeah.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're in the White House and they're there because of us. Because if we stayed home, if South Carolina didn't come through in the primaries, you know, thanks to Congressman Clyburn, would not be there.
Yeah.
So now we have to, as a community, say, you know, you got our votes. Now this is what we need you to do for us. And we heard what they said at the inauguration. So now we have to hold them accountable.
Yeah. And I love it. I love that you say that, you know, when we have a seat at the table, we're responsible to make sure that we're not just looking out for ourselves, but that we're looking out for the collective. And especially from a wellness standpoint, you know, I think a lot of times people only think of the exercise or, you know, the nutritious part of wellness, but wellness is about that connection, you know, with other people. And when we're constantly either isolating ourselves or isolating other people, and not using that voice to really help support other people, we equally continue to create the divide, that stress, you know, the anxiety that people are feeling and not feeling that love and joy. So what are some things that you would say that people can do to really help, you know, whether it's on the local level or wherever they are, what are some things that they can do to really, you know, start to use that voice and to help get out of the box?
You know, like I said, I think some things come with time, but I think we need to deal with issues in real time. And, you know, my focus is labor and employment, right? So a lot of stuff that I'm thinking labor. You know, if an injustice happens to you, if somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, whatever the case is, I think we need to learn to deal with stuff in real time. We need not be shut down by labels that people have put on us. You know, people will say you're being an angry Black woman. You're just advocating for yourself. And they're calling you an angry Black woman is because they want to shut down your conversation. You just say, you know, I'm glad sorry you feel that way, but we're still going to have this conversation. You know, and we talk about the Becky tears. You know, if someone's crying because they're like, that's just to cut the conversation down too. Offer them a tissue and continue on with the conversation.
I love that.
So, you know, so I think, you know, and that takes time, you know, and you have to be comfortable and don't be afraid, you know, don't be afraid of the outcome, because here's the deal. You can either internalize somebody else's stuff and make yourself sick, or you can put it back on them. And, you know, I think about, you know, and it's a long story I'm not going to go into. Years ago, I was working for MCI, major phone company. My supervisor, who was a white female, was leaving her job and she was going home to make babies, and she was so happy and she couldn't wait. Both of us had MBAs. I was not a lawyer at the time. she told me that she was going home to make babies and that this young white girl who was half my age, and I think she had a GED. Remember, I said I had an MBA. Mm-hmm. She wanted her to be my supervisor and, you know, and to train her. And of course I said no. And it's a long story, which I'm not going to go into. And I was not an attorney. And I challenged it all the way up to the VP. And that woman never became my supervisor, nor did I get fired. So, and, you know, it was just a risk, but it was either deal with that. Like, can you see me going to work every day? Internalizing anger, because it's what people do. You internalize other people's stuff, and, you know, then, you know, you're home, you're drinking, you're beating up your wife, whatever, because you're dealing with somebody else's stuff. So right back to them, be willing to take the risk. They're going to fire you? Okay, in that situation, please fire me, because then we go on the court and I'm going to win. So, but, you know, and I wasn't an attorney. And I say that to tell people, like, get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know, and especially now, because people are saying, you know, white America is saying that they're, you know, reckoning with race. So make them reckon with race and you know, keep talking about it. Don't let the conversation die.
Yeah. I absolutely love that, because so many people have had that story, you know, and I know so many people who have had that, where it's like, you know, you're training someone who's coming in new, and now you have to train them on the job that you could have done, you know, for whatever reason. And I love the fact that, you know, you were able to and have a testimony of, you know, using that voice. And I know even for myself, like, I walked away from my job 2 years ago, a job that was no longer serving me. And it took me forever, you know, so I'm not going to make it sound like it was just like, you know, but it took me forever to leave because it wasn't serving me. And there was something more that God was calling me to do. But I had to stop being afraid. You know, it was like one day it finally clicked, like, you know what, you are not called to be subservient to these boxes, right? You know, sometimes we have to get out of the box where we can really see. And even on the worst day, it's still the best decision that I've ever made, because I was actually following that passion, that dream. But, you know, I love that you're saying that, because sometimes it's not just about careers. It's all kinds of things, you know, that sometimes we allow ourselves to be stuck into because we're afraid to say something.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships. You're in a horrible, horrible marriage. You got kids. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And some strength and step.
Yeah.
My mother had 5 kids. She was on her own. She did it. So, and many a Black woman can tell that story.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why this whole thing with feminism, I'm like, please, Black women were feminists and we didn't want to be feminists. So don't talk to me about feminism. And we finally knew, you know, just call it being a Black woman, because that's what we do.
And I love that you have organization, you know, an organization like yours, because these are some options that people have, you know, to be able to go to talk about this kind of stuff. Like you said, to talk about these hard things. And I even know for myself, you know, as I was preparing for the show and decide, I'm like, you know what, but I'm like, you know what, at the end of the day, let's just let the Spirit lead. However it's going to go, you know, it's going to be effective. Somebody needs to hear it. And so I really love that, you know, we're able to have this dialogue and to get uncomfortable. Sometimes we have to get uncomfortable to get out of a box. If we're comfortable, we stay there. You know, we put our pillows in there. We build up a nice little fort around it. And so what are some things or resources or, you know, things that people might be able to do, or even, you know, how do they get involved with what you're doing?
Oh. Okay. So as far as when Black women gather, we have a Facebook page, so you can join us there. I do, since COVID, it started out just, you know, 20 women stuck in the house. What are you guys doing? We started talking to each other, right? On a Sunday afternoon. And yesterday was our 35th gathering. And it's grown from 20 some women to sometimes we have over 200 women. And we have really we have just had good conversations, very powerful conversations. Obviously, Oh, thank you. I do have a website. Lately, we've been talking a lot of politics, and we've actually had very engaging conversations because I want to do the difficult conversations, right? So we've had conversations where we've invited white women in to talk about Black women, white women issues. We've had Black men in, and especially around the politics, we need to get Black men in again because we got a lot to work out with our brothers, right? And I also want to have a conversation with white men. I just want to do difficult, I don't call them difficult, but difficult conversations. So yeah, and yeah, so if you reach out to me at whenblackwomen.gather.org, I will, you can fill out a contact form. I'll put you on my email list.
Awesome.
Yeah, so and join us on Sundays. We have a really good time.
Yes, and it's so nice.
Tina Lifford, who is Tina Lifford and I are friends. So Tina's been on my show. Oh my God, did I call?
Yeah, there you go. Claim it.
Tina has been with us. Nikki Giovanni was with us. We did a fundraiser. There's a Black female physicist who is on the verge of discovering a cure for cancer. We did a fundraiser for her, and you know, and we had Nikki Giovanni and Tina Lifford on that program. So, you know, we've just done a lot. We had a wonderful woman come in from Ghana who just mesmerized us and talked about, that program was about Black women who have moved abroad. And we had a woman from Ghana, a friend of mine from Vietnam, somebody from, a little wonderful island. What's my island? I love it. It's in, my mind just went blank, but it's inside of Panama. It's great. I mean, so we have all kinds of stuff that we're doing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And, you know, for those of you who are watching, listening, definitely check her out at whenblackwomengather.com because, again, you know,
.org.
Yes. Don't let me send you to the wrong thing.
I know. Enough of that for tonight, right? Let's not do that again. Let me apologize to everyone. I sent that link out and I just didn't have the right. It was my fault. I'll eat it. I will eat it.
No, I didn't give specific instructions, so I'll take it. We can share it together.
Okay. That's
real magic. No, it was definitely just one of those things. And so, you know, but I'm so glad that people were still able to get on, that you were able to get on, that people could really, you know, hear you and really, you know, still get the information to go to this amazing organization to hear these conversations. And one thing I did want to end out with, just to ask you before we kind of close out, because I know there's such a big question around this, and I don't think I even shared this one with you, but you know, there's been a big thing about white people who or women or people in general who are wanting to help, but just not quite sure where to go with it or what to do. So what kind of advice would you give to people who aren't Black on how to be supportive and to kind of help out with this initiative and this movement?
You know, and that's why I love the conversations that we do with white women, because it puts us in a space where we can, you know, talk about these things. Mm-hmm. What I say right now, it's a time, first of all, white people need to be gathering with themselves, figuring out what's wrong with their own community. I mean, that's like top. You got to fix you and stop trying to fix other people, right? When you're in circles, and I say to everybody, not just white people, but I say here's the problem. We start talking about race, and race is really the unfinished conversation in America is between Black people and white people. Mm-hmm. The unfinished conversation. And until we finish that conversation, we're going to keep ending up where we are right now. Mm-hmm. When you're in these conversations, gay people, white women, immigrants, who just let Black people just listen and don't try to divert the conversation away from the subject at hand. Black people in America are, we bear the brunt of so much because our story has not been told. Yeah. the truth of our story has not been told. People don't hear us. So, if you enjoy, let me say this and be very clear. If you enjoy civil rights in the United States of America, you need to kiss a Black American every day the good Lord sends. And if you're if you are impeding us in any kind of way, then you are the problem. And I don't care who you are, right? So I think right now, if you're in a work situation, you need to just be listening. And you know what? Here's the last thing I'm going to say, right? I have only been a Black woman. So if you are a white man or a white woman and you're talking to me, don't talk to me in a way that you think you are saying what I want to hear. We all do that, right? Yeah. Talking to a white woman, I gauge what I say, or she's talking to me. I have never been a white woman in my life. I don't know what you think, right? And you've never been a Black woman in your life. So let's just talk. Yeah. Talk. And you know what? And what I say when we have our conversations is that I can guarantee you respect. Mm-hmm. Cannot guarantee you comfort. Yeah. Never am I interested in guaranteeing you comfort, because that's why we are where we are. And when you asked me about this, I said, girl, I'm informal. Don't stop on formalities and language and jargon that don't say what we really mean. So please stop. And this is a Hellenism, so don't anybody try to stop. We are politically correct, socially polite, liars. Stop it. Let's just have real conversations. And the is Bastamiento. If you're ever in Panama, go there.
Wait, say that one more time. It cut off just a little bit before you said, if you're ever in Panama.
Bastamiento.
Ah, gotcha.
Right off of Panama. It's lovely. It's Black folks. It's like, and they speak English. They're really like Jamaicans who I think, stayed after the canal. Yeah. And it's lovely. There's no cars. It's 25 miles. It's just lovely. Anyway.
Listen, that's like my dream is to move abroad. My husband will tell you, I'm always trying to tell him, like, let's go. He's not ready yet, so.
I'll push him for you. Don't worry.
There you go.
Next year.
Yes. Well, this has been beautiful. And, even with all the tech stuff, it just has been a great conversation. No, don't worry about it. So just thank you again. For those of you who are watching, be sure to check her out at whenblackwomengather.org. Miss Higgy.
Let me say, you all come back next week and support Racquel. This is and Sherry, I haven't met you. I look forward to it. But I love what you ladies are doing, and just, I'm happy for you too, Racquel. So.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for coming on and supporting. And, that was one of my goals and just one of my dreams with this show is not just to talk about wellness, but also to uplift other women, other, people who have small businesses, who are doing different things, different organizations, to make sure that the world hears about you, So if you have a platform, why not share it with other people? So I am so grateful that you graced us with your presence, and I really look forward to just see, all that you have going on over there. So for those of you who are watching who don't know Helen, check her out, When Black Women Gather. And as she said, it's not just for women. She's doing some things for the guys and for other races and cultures and things like that. But definitely, she is about getting out of that box, having these hard conversations so that we can grow and that we can be better, not just for ourselves, but for our communities, for our families, the legacy that we are leaving behind us. So thank you again. For those of you who don't know me, Coach Racquel at fit2uwellness.com. I deal a lot with employees and people who are stressing and really just helping to support people so that you can get out of that stress box, right? The anxiety box, and really live your best life and your fullest potential. And definitely don't forget to check out the She Is Still Dope.tv or She Is Still Dope on all social media aspects, because there are other amazing women who are doing some amazing things out here. And so we thank you. We appreciate you. And don't worry, because we will, I'm sure, have you back again another time, Helen. So if you missed her this time, check out the replay and look out for when we can have her back again, or check her out at blackwomengather.org.
Yes. All righty. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.